Anybody? Stevie? Nick? Okay. Budget work. Let's move right on in. Maybe Jackie, you could say a couple words about how we get our money and how we set up the budget, kind of real quick?
Question,
Oh,
just real quick.
Okay, yes.
Since this is a new one going on here, is this open forum or when we're just, she's going through stuff or questions, can we just?
Normally.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want her to kind of explain a bit about how we come up with the money, how we come up with the budget and our allowance, if you will, and kind of start there.
Okay. Today we're gonna talk mostly about the DPW and property maintenance and repair. Property maintenance and repair comes out of general fund that is funded by taxes, state revenue money, fees for building inspection. We get money from Charter Communications, Metro Communications, our zoning fees, garbage collection, and the equipment rental. That the village owns all the equipment, the village general fund owns all the equipment, and we rent it to major and minor roads. So there's a formula that you follow for calculating the state revenue money as well as Act 51 money. It's on the internet. We plug in our, for the Act 51 money, we plug in our number of road miles that fall under the major road category and the minor road category, times the population, times 1, which is our category that we fall into as far as the state's concerned, taking into consideration the population and the number of roads. So that's how we calculate the Act 51 funds that we will be getting, and as we go through, I'll tell you what those numbers are. And just to let you know, if that vote goes through, it will give the village by 2018 about $40,000 in extra Act 51 money.
2018?
Yes, that's the way the formula is set
And
up.
right now, we're getting additional, how much money a year?
We were getting approximately $2,000 from the general fund of the state, but that's, at this particular point in time, ends in June. I don't know if we're gonna get any more than that. Right now, the general fund state revenue money increase is projected to increase about 3%. Homes in Genesee County, the SEV on them is up about 43%. So in the years to come, this year it's not gonna make a whole lot of difference as far as our taxes are concerned. They went up about $5,000 in what I anticipate we're going to collect this year. Anybody have any questions on that aspect of it?
Okay, so
Most
you-
everything in your packet is prepared for the DPW, like I mentioned at the meeting the other night, and where their money is allocated from in the general fund as well as major and minor roads. They don't have anything to do with sewers, they don't have anything to do with some of the other funds that we have left over from the, well, they would have something to do with it. We have funds left over from the bike path, and we have funds left over from the Erie Street and the Dutch Road Bridge. They're both about $18,000. That can be, we like to keep the money in the bike path fund, but the other money can be used and transferred into major or minor roads, or we could use that money for resurfacing Eagle Road downtown or something
Yeah,
like that.
street repair kind of things that we do in
Right.
the future.
When we took the bonds out, it was for street repair, so it has to be used that way.
Okay.
You have a question?
Nope, I just, Joan?
The only thing I'm assuming you're referring to proposal 1 for that 40,000 by 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Know that we should be counting that money this
No,
year or next
nothing's
year?
counted.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure
No,
we weren't looking at that as,
no.
okay.
We do anticipate an increase from maybe $2,000, just in the calculations. in each major and minor roads over what we got last year. So that's not a whole lot compared to what we would be getting should this pass. The first, if that bill passes, or the vote passes, then the first monies would be coming in with the 16 budget for the state, which is October 1st of this year. And then each year for the next 3 years, it gradually.
Any kind of question there? Mr. Brandon?
No, I'm good.
It's a learning process, guys.
And this is gonna go on here for a few meetings.
Well, I'm assuming whatever we, we're not, nothing set in stone
Nope.
tonight.
No, we're just, this is the beginning.
Now, what we're doing right now is, between Ethan and I, Pete, anybody else wants to jump in, we're gonna go over the things that we've already looked into as far as, again, primarily, the roads, the Act 51 money that's for major and minor roads, with the exception of possibly purchasing a snow or a salt spreader, doing some different projects within general fund, but the majority of everything you have here in front of you deals with major and minor roads, with the exception of the information I have in there regarding Aaron and the potential of putting him to full-time, because there's a need for it.
I think I'd like to touch on that too, because there's been some major misconceptions going on. This is on me, this is something that I want. And two things I need to say is that I recognize him from out in the field, and I've had employees since the early 70s, and there is something that you recognize in some workers, and it's something that it's you don't see in all employees. And with this guy here, I just knew him as Aaron, the excavator guy, but I recognize the fact that he was a good worker and a nice young man. With that kind of said, I think it's pretty obvious that last fall that the residents want our roads fixed. It's gonna take equipment, it's gonna take the manpower and money. The money is things that we're gonna have to work on trying to figure it out. How we come up with the monies and how we go on with doing the roads, the drains and stuff. But I don't want anybody thinking that somebody else did. This is my idea to try to bring him on board. I think that we're missing the boat if we don't bring him on.
What are your thoughts out of trying to find the money to be able to cover another full-time employee?
And that's our responsibility to see what we can do to get him on board, and with the grant writer and coming up with monies to do the road improvements, but we have to have the people here to do that, to maintain the stuff.
Can you pay an employee with grant money?
No, that's not my point. My point is that we need the employees and the equipment to go out there and do the work. We need to figure out how to save money on paper clips, to fuel, to whatever we can, so that we can afford to pay the employee to do the necessary things that need to be done to our roads. I think that our roads right now, as I drive around various communities, are in excellent shape. And I think it's because of the fact of the staff that we have right now. And I don't know how we can maintain them to the quality that everybody wants without having an additional employee. But I just want you to know that this is me. This isn't anybody else that's done this. And when I wanted him on board, I want this to be perfectly clear. I didn't know the guy's last name. I didn't know that he had any relation to anybody in this office. So with that said, we can go forward. I just want to clear the air.
Could I add one thing to that? I called Aaron in the winter of 2013, 2014, when we had all that snow that we had. Matt and I were doing it by ourselves, working 11, 12 hours. Well, you can't really drive a truck for 11, 12 hours because of fatigue and CDL restrictions and what have you. Things were piling up. We were getting the roads cleared, but sidewalks, parking lots, uptown, those things needed some extra care. We were working our butts off. He worked with us. He was a village employee when he was younger. He's a local guy, lived his whole life out here. I knew he had the experience to run these vehicles. We needed somebody right then and there to help us out, get the snow moved. And move on to the next snow. So, him knowing these roads, being a lifelong resident, with the experience he had moving snow and with all his equipment, it was a shoo-in. Just get him in here, get it going. I didn't have to teach anybody, this road's here, you don't know where this road is, I mean, come on. So, get him in the truck, go. And I knew that when I set him out, I didn't have to worry about it, because Matt and I were in different parts of the town doing what we had to do to remove the snow. So there's, you know, like I said, the training aspect, and you didn't wanna do anything like that at that time when you're facing all that snow. I didn't have time to sit there with somebody for, you know, half a day and orientate them and say, well, we gotta do this, we gotta do that. And there's 10, 12 inches of snow coming down, so let's just get in, go, see you later. I'll meet up with you and let's get these roads cleared. So that was the reasoning behind having Aaron come in. And the work he's done has helped us tremendously. His experience has helped us tremendously. So, you know, we'd like to maybe take the next step if possible.
When we were going through last year's budget, discussion took place and the budget was approved with Aaron working 25 hours a week. So just to clarify, there were motions to put him on as a part-time person on a permanent basis when the budget was adopted last year. In your packet, there's, and since we're already talking about that, Aaron prepared a work experience that he's done over his professional career, as well as I put something together for justification and cost to put on a full-time person, what the increase would be, what the benefit package would be as far as health insurance is concerned. And if anybody has any questions, what I would be looking for today is, and not a motion, we don't make motions during this unless there's an agenda item to give you a motion, is consensus or discussion on what everybody feels about it, so that I can go forward and prepare for Monday's meeting that would have some numbers in as far as where the money would come from to pay him. Last year, we had allocated $18,000 for equipment that we did purchase. We have one equipment purchase this year that's about $6,000. So in answer to your question, where the additional money would come from, pretty much the equipment rental that we purchased would pay the additional money that it would cost for Aaron to join the staff full-time. There are other areas that we can allocate the funds to. Again, we're getting more money for major and minor roads, we're getting more money from state revenue. The building trade is going up a little bit. We've got people coming in, taking, not rushing in, but they're coming in and getting 2 building permits at a time. So the increase in the state money that we're going to be getting in fees and not purchasing equipment takes care of the fees that I had listed here as far as putting another full-time person on. The other piece of paper that's right, the second one in, this lists what they do on major roads, minor roads, park, the dam. This obviously is not a complete list because things change out there all the time. I apologize that it's not lined up. It was when I pushed send a path. My printer's not working, so I'm making do. And so if anybody has any questions about any of the items that are on this list, whether it's today or as we go along with the budget process, please feel free to let us know, and we can explain it a lot further if you need some more information as to what that department is responsible for doing.
Mr. Golden?
Yes.
If I may, and I don't wanna give any disrespect to Aaron, I think I'm probably the one in here that knows him the longest. His work ethic is outstanding, I will vouch for that. My concerns are if we're gonna be hiring a full-time employee, that if that decision were to come, that should probably be something posted to the public or have other opportunity. I know that was concerned with the community that there really was no formal interview process for hiring a part-time, other than where there was just money and we needed a third party. Again, I wasn't here during that process, but that is my understanding of it. The other thing that I'd like to speak, if I could real quick, we have some major expenses concerning the drains coming up, and I'll just leave it at that one there. We have a lawsuit that we don't even know what the outcome is. At this time, I don't know that it would be smart to have a third full-time employee. We're looking at money to try to save in respects for these projects, and us bringing another employee here for that. Again, no disrespect to this gentleman out here in the field, but I don't know that we can afford that. That's all I'll say on it.
And the other point's well taken. The idea of the litigation, I don't wanna put my head in the sand and say, well, we're not gonna do this and do that because of this pending litigation, because we don't have that crystal ball to know what's really gonna happen. All I know is that the last fall, I have to say it was pretty obvious, excuse me, that the residents want their roads fixed. And it's gonna take manpower and equipment to do that. The monies, that's our responsibility to figure out how we can afford to do these things. So that's why we're here.
Well, Mr. President, when you say the residents want their roads fixed, for example, Goodrich Meadows, you're having an outside company come in and do it. What's that got to do with the DPW?
Let's go back to what you had mentioned earlier, was maybe the lack of maintenance might have had something to do with why the roads are in the condition that they're in. We have to maintain them, we have to update them. We have drains out here that need to be explored and fixed. Keeping the roads swept so we keep the stones out of those catch basins. I can go on and on, but it takes the manpower to do that. And we all know that without the physical, hands-on, we're gonna end up with it going right back south the other way after we do our major repairs from the outside companies.
Well, as I stated to you the other day, and you had noticed also, I got a big problem when I see two guys in a truck with a sweeper on it. I mean, there's no excuse for that.
I'll address that. Two guys in a truck are going out to do work. I send them out in the morning to pick trash up, and pick debris up. I talked to you and Mark and Jackie when I was in that meeting. I said, we check the roads every morning. Roads are dynamic, they can change. I mean, we leave at 3:30, from 3:30 till we're here and checking the roads at 7 o'clock in the morning. You'd have street signs down, branches down, sinkholes, ponding of water, anything of that nature. Two guys in a pickup truck going through a subdivision shouldn't draw ire of anybody. I mean,
The broom is on there all the time.
the broom stays on there like a plow does. We take it off here and there, but was the broom down?
That's under, no. That's
So they weren't sweeping.
That's understandable, but when you have, Cindy, may I use you in as an example?
No, you may not.
Okay, Katie?
Yeah.
If you saw two men in the truck, I get your point.
I wouldn't think anything of it, to be honest. I mean, we could take 3 trucks out if we all go do something, but that would be more cost effective.
Okay.
Take the big 5-yard truck out to go check a drain or something, I mean, just saying, I mean, people,
No, I see
it's
your
a
point.
work truck and you gotta send people out to do something. So, if I'm out doing something, I got to have them do something,
Okay.
one's not gonna walk or take another truck, they just
That's
hop in the truck and go.
That's
There's a
about-
toolbox on there with all the tools, so,
I appreciate you enlightening me, and I do see you go to the subdivision every morning checking things out, so, hats off to you. I like, Mr. Vick feel this is not the, time to be hiring a full-time employee with a lawsuit pending. It doesn't feel right. We gotta be saving money, not adding expenditure.
I got a question to ask. The money that we used to pay him,
I don't think in a lawsuit can be used to pay the lawsuit, because major and minor road money has to go to major and minor roads. You can't use it to pay a lawsuit where somebody sues us,
Good point.
because each time that one of those trucks go out of there, whatever piece of equipment, and the most piece of equipment goes out the most is the backhoe. And we get paid so much money an hour for every time it's out there. We take it out of major, minor roads. If you do not, you have to allocate where you're spending that money. And it also pays half of their wages, and half of their benefits can come out of major, minor road money.
But on this sheet down here, it's saying Aaron and Christian are 51% property. What is that? So it's 11,934, 26% major roads, 23% minor roads. So I'm assuming 51% of his wages come from property taxes? Is that what that's saying?
From general fund.
Yeah,
So it's property taxes as well as state revenue money,
Right,
and 50% of
right.
it
So to
is
Pete's
for
point, there is a
major
small
minor.
percentage of major and minor road money coming that we're paying, and there's also a
It's
majority.
50%.
Almost 50%, it's not
Yeah.
small, you know.
And
And
first
that's
of all,
everybody across.
But our general fund money is what would be paying for the dam or for the lawsuit, and the only thing I'm getting at, of course, we can't be sticking our heads in the sand like Mr. Baldwin stating, but we gotta start changing our ways and start preparing for the future instead of waiting to see what happens. And that's all I'm asking. And
Why-
this is
Can I
not
ask
the-
why you say that? Why you said what you just said, preparing for the future? We have a $310,000 fund balance that will adequately pay for whatever. This lawsuit, I'm just gonna tell you, is gonna go on for years.
Mhm.
And to not prepare for it by not hiring somebody to do the roads, it is
And I-
an injustice to the rest of the village people.
that's
I-
Because there's more roads that have to be taken care of than the roads in the area of the people with this lawsuit.
Mhm.
The lawsuit, yes, is costing us a lot of money. Right now, it's costing us attorney fees
Mhm.
that you don't have any choice with that. But it's gonna go on for a long time. It's not gonna be solved. If it is this year, it'll be a miracle. And if
So-
it is this year, it'll be a great solve.
So we have $300,000 plus in the general fund. Let's just talk about the drain
That's
project.
fun.
Okay, let's just talk about the drain project then.
Mhm.
We're looking at anywhere in the upper $700,000 just for the quotes to the lower $511,000, somewhere around in there. There's gonna be a percentage coming to the village,
Correct.
not the residents. Do we know how much, $700,000, what that percentage would be that we would have
They
to
won't
pay?
tell us.
Right, so even if
It's
that's
either
around,
50% or 75%.
Right,
And it's
so-
gonna cost every taxpayer in the village, because it's gonna come out of general fund money.
right, so you're
But
gonna,
it's gonna be over 15 to 20 years.
right. And that's important to remember, that that's gonna have to work in on upcoming budgets, because it's going to be spread out.
Depending on what
over
the amount
Anywhere from
is.
7 to 15 years, that's gonna be spread out.
And it could go further than that, but I can't get an answer from the county as to what our percentage is gonna be. It changes from 25 to 50 to 75. If you can get an answer for me, I would be really happy with that. It goes by our past history. Well, they have our past history, so I don't understand why they can't give me a percentage, and then we would have a little bit more money to work with. I've tried to set a meeting, Mr. Baldwin and I have talked about it. Hopefully we can get something set up in the near future to find out exactly where they are with what they're proposing, but I haven't been able to do that yet.
And let's, we kinda gotta move on, but while we're going over this, guys, please, look at this open-mindedly. Don't make a decision just yet, I guess I could say, try to think outside of the box of ways in which we can accomplish what it is we're trying to do with the amount of money that we have. You know, a lot of ways to do things. So just be open-minded, don't shut the door on anything.
and
Yeah.
Mr. Baldwin, I'm all for that, but I ask you to be open-minded as well. I mean, if we want to have money for another hiree, there's going to have to be cut somewhere. Some employee is gonna have to sacrifice something. We cannot continue down the road that we are going.
And that's where we gotta think about it and try to figure out how to make all the numbers work.
Can I ask why you say that too?
Cause
We run at bare bones as it is.
right, and it's my understanding, and I just use the township as an example, as Les Mills coming in,
No.
How many mills they got?
They got 5 mills, you're paying almost 3 mills for the police department extra.
How
You're
many-
paying a mill for the fire department extra, and they get a mill. So
if
that's
you-
5 mills, we're doing 5.3, and the only services they're giving you is the police department and the fire department.
And they don't take care of that, that's
They
taken
don't-
care of.
Don't use me as an example. I get
I'm
more-
not- it's not
No, no, I'm
example.
just saying I get more services from the township than I do the village.
Well,
Because I do
yeah,
the
but-
road.
No, you don't.
I don't have sewer, all I have is garbage removal. The Genesee County comes and grades my road.
Right.
So I'm just
And-
saying, don't use me as an example.
Well, I'm just saying, you're paying them 5 mills, and we're paying 5.3, and we're servicing our roads. And I think our roads are much better in the wintertime than any place you go. Once you get out of Goodrich, they're not so good. I've seen M15 clear ice for 2 weeks, 2 years ago. And if this, I can tell you that it was in the paper, Mr. Daly says, if this bill does not pass, he's gotta cut approximately somewhere between 15 and 30 drivers for next year. Cause he doesn't have the money to operate. He had that in the paper about where I went to Florida. There was a little caption, Mr. Daly says, if it doesn't go through, I gotta cut drivers. And he's already down from about 280 to under 140 in the last 5 years. He put that in, it was in the Flint Journal. I didn't cut it out, I don't save it, I just read it. But,
Can we go back a second to something else Mr. Vick said as far as advertising? Again, Aaron was a previous employee, he knows the area, he knows the equipment, you know, those types of things. When we have promoted people from part-time to full-time in the past, that's why you work hard, is to get promoted, to increase your hours, to take on more responsibility. It would be an injustice to him to put an ad in the paper to try to hire a full-time person when you have somebody that has been working hard, has the qualifications that are in front of you, doesn't need to take the DPW supervisors or anybody else's time to do training. They have to be certified to drive each one of these pieces of equipment. They have to have a CDL. I just think that would be a total injustice to anybody that was in the position that was qualified to move forward to be a full-time person, whether it's in the village office or in the DPW. You've put your time in, you've done a good job, and here, let me slap you upside the head.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna take job applications during a snow emergency like we had. I mean, it was somebody that had worked here before, call them up, can you get in here and give us a hand? You know, I can't go through job application process when we're moving snow. I mean, it was, get it done, and
Keep in mind, we know that there's gonna have to be sacrifices someplace else to make the numbers work. I understand that. But I think that you're gonna find whether the dividends will be rewarded for having somebody that can do what the residents wanted. And I think last fall, it was very clear. The residents are demanding the roads to be fixed. They want to see things done out there.
And I'm not gonna disagree with you on that, but as Ethan pointed out, that if we need help, he's gonna call somebody for that. And it's my understanding that if he needs help, he's supposed to come to the council, and the council makes the approval for the help. And if that process didn't take place, that's why you get upset residents. That's all I'm trying to say. So I'm just trying to get this council to come back to the basics, so that we don't have these questions and these concerns constantly coming from the residents.
That was done well.
It was discussed at the council meeting, it was discussed in my office, between the street administrator, myself, and Ethan. When you have an emergency situation, we had however many inches, feet of snow out there that had to make
88
a
inches
decision.
throughout the snow season, I mean, it's not a record.
And I believe the council
Can things be
did okay,
improved? Of
them
course.
coming on part-time.
We can always improve on whatever we do. There was an emergency situation, and it was handled.
Right, not disagreeing with that, but with that emergency situation, now all of a sudden we have a part-time employee, and people just see that as a wrongdoing, so to speak, because then at that point in time, if we needed another body, that's when the position should have been posted. Again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Aaron, I know he's a good worker, I've seen him in this community.
But again, he was approved for his part-time position at the budget meeting last year. If people did not want to have a full-time, part-time person, it wouldn't have been approved at the budget last year. And we do have, about $22,000 in fund balance between major and minor roads. That is there for utilization.
This is all just the beginning, gentlemen, you know.
That's why we're talking now.
Yep. And as we continue on, we're gonna have to work the numbers around.
Well, we work the numbers around generally about every year in the budget. You know, a budget is nothing more than an idea of what costs are gonna be. It's not exactly what they're gonna be. And oftentimes, Jackie will have X amount of dollars in a certain area for something that we had to do, and find out halfway through the year that, whatever it was we had to do, we did it for less money, so there's money there that can be transferred to something else. So it's, budget is money moved from one item to another. So, I've been on the council for a lot of years, and, we've had a good budget every year. We've managed to do everything we had to do every year. We have less people living here than we have now, so we got additional income just from that. And, your ideas are worth listening to, but don't jump off the bridge yet, it's gonna work.
Oh, I haven't jumped.
If you do, take a life preserver with you.
I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
we got a lot of things to go over and discuss.
And just as a reminder, there are certain things in a budget that are just there. You know, we have to pay the light bill, we have to pay the gas bill, we have to pay, different things like that. You need supplies, you need this, you need that. Those are pretty much a given. They're very minimal as far as what we spend on anything, whether it's in the DPW, whether it's in the office. We are very frugal. We have been very frugal for the number of years that I've been in this position. I take it seriously, spending taxpayers' money, and I don't think that there's a lot of misspending of funds. But any more questions on that? There's something to think about, so we can go forward, or what?
Time would be good for now.
Yes.
Let's move on.
Okay. In your packet, we can go through it. These are just dollars and cents, like I was just talking about, that we spend every year. We go through and we try to find the best product for the least amount of money that will do the job to take care of the village roads. And the Michigan chloride bill, it should be the first one if you didn't move everything around after we get through information about Aaron. This is a company that we've used in the past. I'm gonna let Ethan explain what exactly the brine is, and then I'll talk about the money.
This is applied to the minor roads, the dirt roads. This is a brine solution which we've used for a few years, chloride. But this is brine. It's a better product. You have to spread it twice, but to get the percentage, but the cost is still usually less. The price has not changed from last year. We usually get about
Or the year before.
the year before. You want to do at least 2 applications throughout the summer, and if you have time, weather permits, you do a 3rd application early fall. So we're actually going to reduce the gallons this year, because we found in the past that what we've been getting is a little too much product. So we're looking at 19 cents a gallon for 8,000 gallons, and that could be adjusted also a little bit lower. So approximately $1,520 an application, and that's for dust control. Very important, and like I said, with this brine solution, from my experience, it lasts a heck of a lot longer. It's a better product. You get more bang for your buck. But we are going to reduce the gallons this year. But when you do reduce the gallons, it actually goes up by 1 cent because you're getting less. But even at that rate, it's a good thing. We've used this company for what, four years now at least. We used to go with the county, but they use chloride. The county will not use, they don't like the brine solution, they're like the only county in the state that basically does not use this, don't ask me why. But, it's a great product, great people, it's worked out great, and we can work with them at our own pace instead of going at the county schedule, 'cause weather factors into this a lot too, you have to get the roads prepared, and if you have rain and you can't put it down, it'll just make a mess, and, you know, the roads have to have some moisture in them, but not soaking wet with puddles, so this is what we got for this year.
If we went with the county, which Ethan says we have in the past, until we found out, about this product in this company, it would be $2,467 an application to do our roads.
What all roads do we put this on?
I'm sorry,
What all roads do we put this on?
just dirt roads,
All the dirt roads,
dirt roads in the village.
Dutch Road,
Pontiac,
Pontiac Street, Park of Seneca,
Cemetery,
Cemetery,
Kersley Park,
over Kersley where Doug lives, all of those are done, the one behind the IGA.
High Street, Oak Street.
uh,
So is this $1,700 per year or per application? I'm sorry.
Per application.
1,500.
15 per application.
per
1,500 per application.
How often do we normally do that?
Twice. At
We
least
try to
twice.
do it,
At least
we do
twice.
it twice, and if we can get a third application, and if it's needed, then we do that. And again, the comparison, for what the county would do, is 2467.08. And like Ethan mentioned, they have a schedule of when they do things, and again, because of lack of their manpower, the weather, different things like that, they say late April, late June, mid-September, and sometimes we've gotten our first application in July. So,
And when they
It's
come,
very
they come.
cost-effective
It doesn't
and
matter
very-
if you're done or not, or if it's pouring out, they don't care. They
So
spray
what
it.
is your schedule? When do you think you're gonna start?
Oh, is it
I mean, this is early spring yet, I understand that. Sometime
Probably mid to late May, we'll do like one in July.
take a look at how the roads are.
Exactly, and, you know, then July, and then, you know, I like to get it later in the year if I do a third one,
try to coincide
August,
it
September.
with sweeping the streets
Yeah.
too. The first one, maybe not so much, because they need to be done to clean out the catch basins and, or to make sure that the catch basins don't
Also
need to be
depends on
cleaned
how
out.
the roads are, and how, you know, if we're grading them and they hold out for a while and there's no dust, cause we've had a lot of moisture and rain, you're not gonna have the dust,
Yeah,
so you have to
true.
watch that too, you start getting drier, and then you get dust, and you gotta get it applied.
Now, so you know, this, quote will show up at the May council, because one application is in this year's budget. And then going forward, actually, it's already been approved, for this year's budget, but since this is the quote for going forward, I will be bringing it to, the council. Any other questions on chlorine? The next one, again, I apologize for it not being printed dark. DTMB, that's where we order our salt from. We're a member of My Deal, and we have been for the last 4 or 5 years. The state of Michigan goes out and gets bids. We don't have a price on this yet. We probably won't have a price on it until June. We've ordered 100, sorry. I didn't have my other coffee now. 100 early delivery and 100 late
Jackie, you're not
delivery.
talking- Jackie, before you go on, you're not
And I
talking
think it's
about
more
100,000, are you?
No.
Okay.
100 ton for early delivery and 100 ton for late delivery, because we have approximately 150 ton, something like that left over.
Yeah, there's 150 plus tons left down there.
So, the salt orders would be hopefully down
Whereas
considerably.
last year, we ordered 300 ton, we're at 200 ton this year. Like, I do have some, it was a crappy winter, but at least we used a little bit less salt this year, so we do have a little surplus with it.
What was the price in the past?
63.42 a ton last year. The year before that, was 52 or 53, but because that year there were so many people throughout the United States that needed to have salt. I guess they figured that this year they were gonna have a shortage, so, they upped the price. Other than the Boston area, over the main Boston area, hopefully the price will go down this year. But the state goes all over the country to, get the bids for that.
I think it was a couple years ago, our salt came from Kansas City. They mined it in Detroit, but it came from Kansas City, and they can buy it cheaper and ship it here than they can buy it from Detroit. Which, I think what they do in the salt, when they mine this stuff, they only mine so much, so they keep the price up.
Yeah, we pay $60-some. Regular guy that does a parking lot or does his own little business, paying well over $100 per ton. So,
Wow,
yeah, they gouge them.
that's huge.
The next bill on here, again, these are just to show you the types of materials that, we use in the DPW department during the course of the year. This is our coal patching, the piece of equipment that we bought last year, or the year before?
Year before.
A hot pot, hot
Yeah,
box.
about 3 years.
Yeah.
Ago.
Has been a lifesaver as far as roads are concerned. I think that you can see, as Mr. Baldwin said, by driving around the village versus driving around other areas, you don't have a lot of potholes, and if you see one, please call the office and we'll get right out there with the box and do it.
Speaking of potholes, by the way, when we were on vacation, I seen a sign down in South Carolina, big sign, and something about potholes, and the sign said, if you don't like if you have potholes, you wanna do something about it, take 2 of these and call your doctor in the morning. In other words, we're
Yeah,
trying to do what we're trying to do, try to get it done, if you don't like it, call your doctor.
Something on the news the other night where somebody was planting pansies in potholes.
They were,
Yeah,
they were.
Is that the one you're on?
yeah, unique.
yeah, we have to get this material from Saginaw. It's just up by the Milwaukee Bridge there because you can't get it around here anymore. The plant that supplied everybody around here closed down. Barrett Paving Materials closed down a few years back, so we have to go to Saginaw to get it by truckload, and the minimum order is 125 ton, I think,
The minimum order,
that they would deliver.
25 ton.
Oh, 25 ton is their minimum for them to bring it down here. We don't stockpile or need that much, so we have to go up and get it ourselves. And, you know, it went up 4 cents this year from last year. And we just got 5 ton a few weeks back, and it's stockpiled up there.
How long will that last? Get a couple
That's
years
not-
out of it? Well, I know
Well,
there's,
you're getting into, going on to May now, you don't have all the freeze thaw. We hit a couple spots here and there lately. It'll get us through the summer and the fall, Sometimes it'll last even longer.
One thing,
About 5 tons, a little over 5 tons, up to 5 tons a year.
about 5 years. Approximately.
Little less.
actually Davison, and we worked with Davison, we borrow some of their equipment, like they got a mill, we can mill down a sidewalk to see if it doesn't go back, you don't have to replace it. They borrowed our hot box, last fall, and, cause they wanted to show their board in the city what it would do, and they had it 2 or 3 days. Go down there now, they got a brand new hot box, a brand new truck rolling it.
Yeah, they got it.
Is that,
They wanted one.
is that 428, that's a year?
That's what we paid for the last load.
Yeah, the last
Yeah, the
one.
last one.
Yeah.
Now,
And we,
if we would use all of this year for whatever reason, we'd probably get another 3 or 4 ton, maybe 5 ton, and store it in the winter time, because there's times out there when you can put it in, because we can heat it, fill the box up and heat it, or brush the box inside one day, and then it'll heat up much quicker.
Okay. Yeah,
And,
I'll get to that one.
when the bills come in, like, this is one example, this is winter maintenance, and 70% of this bill went to major roads, and 30% went to minor roads, as far as filling potholes. Major roads consist of Eagle Road on both sides, Pontiac Street and Erie Street. And potholes come with traffic, so the majority of it's out on Eagle Road. All of the subdivisions, are minor roads. So when you hear me talk about major minor roads, those are the breakdown.
Basically downtown and our main roads are major and our subdivisions outskirts are minor.
Right, except for Erie Street and the paved part of Pontiac
Okay.
is a major road. The next one is NHMS. This is our crack sealing, that has been ordered, and hopefully they can start in.
Beginning of May, they didn't give me a date, but they said the 1st of May, beginning of May.
This is $2,209. They give us the piece of equipment to use. I guess you can go buy one of these, but in talking about it, we don't have a place to store it, plus it wouldn't be cost effective for us to do that. We've not crack sealed for 2 years at this point. They'll be out there probably for at least a month doing the crack sealing. Maybe
Approximately
you can
weather
explain
permitting.
how crack sealing's done if people have not seen.
Jackie, please make sure we put Schuman Drive on.
Yeah, it'll be the first one done, trust me.
Why would you
But
say
it
that?
goes,
Please.
but it goes in a rotation, so if the rotation.
Yeah, this year I'm basically starting out all over again. And then we started, the years I've done this, you do certain roads
No, I know,
and
but it's your neighbor.
you go around the village, get all your roads done, and by the time you get all your roads done, say in a few year cycle, then you're gonna start them back over again, because cracks don't stop. And, but no, Schuman is,
Oh, please.
it'll be the first one done, so,
There's times that we may have to have a 4th guy. And I have volunteered before, but coming in May, I'm gonna be hunting mushrooms, so. If we have to hire, because there's times out there where you're gonna need a flag man, you're gonna need a driver, you need somebody blowing them out, you need somebody behind filling it. And driving that truck is the most boring thing in the world, because you watch ants pass you, because you got so much to blow out, and you can only go so fast.
but that's the thing about this operation, this is a true 3-man operation, because you have to have, well, 3 to 4, it depends, 4 would be nice sometimes, but, you haul the melter behind you, and it has the wand out back, it extends off the back.
Right.
And you spread the crack seal, and there's an onboard air compressor that runs 50 foot of hose that goes in front, so one guy's in front,
Well,
blowing the cracks out, prepping them, as the truck's moving forward, and the guy coming through is, sealing them. On shorter stretches of road, we've went out and actually blew them out first with the machine, and then, I've come behind with a truck now. We still have to put what's called anti-tack down, which we take the pickup and put, it's a 300-gallon water tank with a pump and a hose, and once that stuff is put down, you spray it with it so it doesn't track as much when traffic goes over it.
oh.
Cause it'll track and pull it out and leave it on the asphalt, so. And sometimes I'll bring the cold patcher with us, cause you get wider cracks, if you can fit cold patch in there, you'll put some cold patch in, bring it up some and then overband it.
Maybe you
So-
can go over, just because there's a crack there, doesn't mean it's not sealed. Right?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about, go over where, go over to this road? No, yes.
Go over with them, that just because it's cracked.
Yeah, the neat thing about overbanding is just what the term implies, it's overbanding, you're going over it, so much of the material actually goes down into the crack. You could have a crack that's 6 inches deep, but you might only get an inch or 2 penetration with that, but you have a 4-inch wide band over it,
Mhm.
and it seals it, so if it was to open a little bit more and expand, it's still sealed because you have a 4-inch overband on it. It's not designed to get all the way down to the base, because I've tried that before, you use so much material, it's not even funny on one crack. But it just isn't, it's a Band-Aid, it goes right over it. Like I said, 1 or 2 inches down, and it'll seal it, keeps the water out, keeps the thaw and the frost from coming back out. It works really well. not an end all be all, but it is a Band-Aid, and
Right.
it does seem to last, and actually, this material that I use is the best that I've had. We've had 2 other contractors come out and use material, the one was terrible. You drop your blade down to plow the following winter, you're pulling
Pulls it
stuff
right
right
out.
out, pulling it right out.
Yeah.
I mean, useless. This stuff, it's like glue. And we've got years of going over it and haven't pulled it out.
Gotcha.
Before we found this particular company, after researching, we used to hire somebody to come and do the crack sealing, and they would come in with what they called a pot, and the pot did a quarter of what we do with this.
Yeah, depending on, yeah.
And it was more money than using this particular technique to do it.
Genesee County uses this, the same company, I know City of Davison uses it. Grand Blanc might, I mean, most municipalities use this system, it's a great system, cause you know, you buy your material, you get to use the machine, so.
When we, first started doing this and we paid a couple times, I went to Jackie and I says, let's get Ortonville and Davison and maybe Grand Blanc and we'll buy our own crack sealer. Otisville, none of, like Otisville and Ortonville, they want nothing to do with it. The gentleman from Davison called back, said, you know, that's a great idea. We need one, but we all don't need one. It's a piece of material or equipment that everybody needs. But he says, I did some research, and he's the one that found this online and helped us get it. They actually ordered material last year, 2.5 pallets, them in, Davison Township, but they couldn't get the machine last year, it was not in this area. They have about 75 to 100 of them, they run them all over the United States. They'll bring the material in, and then one day you'll get a call, and they're bringing the machine in. The nice part about it, if something happens to the machine, you call them and they come and fix it. So you've got no liability of what happens to the machine. You do have to pay to be trained on it every year, and I think it's what, 300, 500?
They quoted that this year.
They did quote that this year?
Training?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's just.
that's how they get part of the rental money.
Yeah.
Well, it's $195 to deliver everything, and then they just go over it at that time.
Okay, they did away with that then, but it's really been saving compared to what we were doing
That's because we
before.
don't have turnover. It's the same people.
Did you say you could have our name on the list to use that machine?
Oh, yeah, it's supposed to come sometime after 1st of May.
Okay.
We jumped on board, what, in January?
Did you hear that?
First of May.
He told me that before.
Okay.
Well, I ordered it on 2/20. Anybody have any other questions on that?
Nope.
The next one has a fax machine on it, and people can drive around and see if they feel that we have a need. We have not painted the yellow lines or the white lines, probably for 3 or 4 years now. With the road plowing and just wear and tear, they need to be done again. These are 2 bids that the only two companies that we found that do it. The rest of the companies that are listed do parking lots. M&M have done our roads the last 2 times or 3 times that we did it. That bill is bid is $2,700. PK, which is a national firm, obviously they didn't want to come into the village of Goodrich because there's $6,000.
I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, PK is a huge firm, they work for the state and other states, and they're
M&M
giant,
is a local company, I think they're at Burton. So this is something that we'll need a motion for. This is not something that would be done immediately, it would be done probably after the second street cleaning, which would be before Good Times in Goodrich.
Yeah, I was gonna say sometime late July, early June, or August.
We coordinate those types of
This
things.
is just MDOT mandate when you're supposed to do that, did they say anything about the lines? of the
As
road?
far as our roads, I don't think so. I know that, you know, your state roads, but I mean,
No,
you
they
know,
don't have anything to do with it.
we go by how they look. And many years of running those underbody plows and stuff on them, it wears them down, and it's been a few years, so they are
It's a
pretty,
safety factor too.
that's what it is, yeah.
All of our roads in the village are double yellow lines and, have the white edge line on it.
When-
So if you're driving around and you look and you don't think that there's a need for it, let us know, or you would adopt it. But it has been a few years since we've done it. It's not something that we need to do on a yearly basis, but again, it is a safety issue and we can have further discussion on that, or now, whatever.
So, clarification, this isn't part of the budget then?
Pardon me?
This isn't gonna be part of the budget, this will be a motion that'll be made later if we want done?
No, it'll be part of the budget. The numbers will be put in to the budget that you adopt, and then when it comes time to do this, then a motion will be made to accept this, whichever bid you're after. But that's why we're going over all this stuff, because we need to have a good idea of what we're gonna do. Only something that will take place prior to June 30th, we'll need a motion separate from that. The next information that you have in front of you is, the first page is Flint, New Holland, and I'm gonna have Ethan explain what all this is about.
This is for a salt spreader material spreader. Our existing salt spreader on our 5-yard truck is 10 years old. It's had a lot of salt put through it, it's seen a lot. It's getting to the point where we can't use it very much anymore. We got 2 pumps that are getting a little weak on it, leaking. We've had to do some retrofitting on it as far as the plating. It's stainless steel, so the actual door on it is not as solid as regular steel. So we've always, we've had to do a lot of work on it throughout the season as we're using it. It's about at its lifespan. So with that being said, I wanted to get a new salt spreader. I didn't want to go with the stainless steel again, although stainless steel is great because it doesn't rust. Well, it doesn't rust as much. There's steel components on it, but it's also a milder steel that I found out by using it. So I was looking at a crossover tailgate conveyor, which is a salt spreader that you can also spread material with. You might have seen what the county uses when they put stone down on the shoulder so they can drive with the traffic and convey the actual material to the shoulder of the road, and then just use their blade and blade that material down to repair their shoulders. That could be used all year round. I mean, you put it on in the fall for your salt, you take it off, you reverse the mechanism on it, and you use it in the summertime to work on your shoulders. You can spread topsoil with it. You can actually spread asphalt with it. So that way, it's a piece of equipment you're getting use out of all year round, instead of it coming off in end of April and sitting till, September, October, November. So I went looking around, and it's a product that's not too hard to get, but it's hard to get around here, because you're gonna be traveling to get this thing. So the first price I got was from Knapheide, which is out in Flint. I've dealt with them for almost 20 years. Their price was over $9,000. It was $9,344 for that piece of equipment. So I said, okay, I'm gonna look for more prices. That's pretty expensive. So the second price I got was from another place that handles Monroe equipment. They're in Howell though. It was like an hour away, so you have road time going down there, and you're gonna drop the truck off. You're sending 2 guys down to bring the other guy back. I like to keep things local, especially if something breaks. You want to keep it local, so I'm not driving an hour to get it fixed in a snowstorm. They wanted $6,657, and they had an option of the male and female stainless steel couplers at $215, which might be, a way to go. That's the couplers that go on the truck to attach the hydraulic
Right.
lines. Stainless, they won't rust. So I went to Flint, New Holland, called them up. I've dealt with them for quite a few years. They're over on Bristol Road. Their price is $6,681. They're $24 more than the one in Howell, and they're right on Bristol Road.
Right.
So, for the $24, I'll save driving an hour one way down to Howell with a 5-yard dump truck. And this one from New Holland will do everything that the other ones will do. It's a Meyer brand, which is, they're great snow fighting equipment. We're gonna install this ourselves. Everything's plumbed, the truck's already plumbed with the hydraulic fittings, the hoses for a spreader. There's a control module in there already, that's standard. So, only thing we might have to do is change the mounts on the back of it. But installing it, we'll do ourselves, save the rest of the money, no installation on that one.
Okay. First of all, Ethan, I'd like to, tell you, hats off to you for seeking different, bids and prices. I'm very pleased that you took the initiative to do that. And with that said, good job. When you say Mr. President? Okay. That's all I want to say.
Question I got.
Yeah.
Does it, since this is gonna be brand new, and I'm not trying to question your guys' ability to install anything, I know that I can do it. But if something, not saying you hook up wrong, but say it gets defective or the part breaks or whatnot, just us installing it, would that void any warranty on it?
The actual product itself, the material spreader itself is warranted regardless of the installation. It's like what we ran in with the quota, we had somebody else put it on there, and kinda wish we would've installed it ourselves. You don't know at times, they're not, they're experts, they do it all the time, but I don't know, and if something does happen, you're going against them and it's against us, so we do it ourselves, unless there was something blatantly wrong that we did with it.
No,
Sure, that would void the warranty.
Right, I'm
you
just
know.
asking if the warranty, let me rephrase this, if the warranty included the installation, you know what I mean, that they had to install it to get the full warranty, I guess is what I'm asking.
No.
Okay.
Now, this is something that Tim and I had mentioned, after the Kubota incident, is that anytime in the future, once again, life being a learning curve here, anytime in the future, new equipment is introduced under, I think that you guys should get together in the morning with a cup of coffee, and you should be going over the manual, and you guys should be looking at something, and looking for things that are wrong. Identifying the equipment and
Well,
the hits and misses of it.
we keep, I have a filing cabinet full of manuals from equipment that's even gone now that I still have in there, and I keep it, and we do go over it, we familiarize ourselves with it. I've always been of the belief throughout the years that was also under Gordon, because Gordon always had things installed by the companies that if a company did it, they did it the right way. And
Well,
that's not always the case anymore.
Life being a learning curve.
Exactly.
We know that
And
human,
if it's within our means and it's simple, I'm going that route as to us installing it.
well, and this goes beyond just the fact of that, but a safety issue. You guys should be looking at it, for the safety issue of things to be aware of, And I think that would be a good policy for you guys. It only takes a few minutes to go over that.
But if I was to install something and it didn't work, it's on me at that point, which is, I'll take responsibility for that. If somebody else installs it, it doesn't work, now I'm getting into, well, my tech did this, and I know he did this, and it's our word against theirs.
It's got no place to go.
It's got no place to go. They're trying to blame me, and they're trying to, but I know if I did it, and we did it, if it's within our means, then it's gonna be done. It's gonna be done right. We know where every piece went, and you get, familiarized with it. So I think that's a good way to go. This one doesn't seem to be, like I said, it's just a matter of the pins on the back. Everything's already there, so.
How long do you anticipate the installation?
I couldn't tell you that at the moment. Matter of fact, the guy, Joe Curtis, my salesman, has been out of town. He should be back this week. For instance, I wanted to ask him a question because all the snow equipment isn't produced in mass. They only produce so much at a certain time. The one salt spreader was about 200 some days out from even getting one. So it's gonna put you into the beginning of winter time. So I'm gonna find out from him and I need to find out how much if there's a lag in it, there's so much time. if that's the case, that's not all that bad, because we still have a spreader we can use in the interim period as we get that, and then switch it out when we have time. You know, we're not gonna be without any way to apply salt, so.
This may end up, depending on what Ethan finds out, may end up coming before you, before the end of the budget year, just to get it ordered. It would still be in next year's budget. But if it's, 240 days out, like one of these, we're gonna need it ahead of time, and then if we can get it ordered, they can utilize that system for the shoulders of the road.
Yeah, for shoulder repair, which shoulder repair is something we have to do every year, I just, mostly both the Eagle Road, we have limestone on them, your shoulder starts to wear down. When it wears down, you start losing the edge of your asphalt, plus it's a safety issue.
Schuman Drive needed some, this one over here.
Yeah,
Any place where there's not curb and gutter.
and we always did it with the loader, even to this day, you take the loader, you come sideways across the road, dump some, and you're blocking traffic as you go along, and you have to turn around and then blade it down, whereas this way, you drive right down it, it's safe, it shoots it off. The county uses it, a lot of the counties and other municipalities use them, it's just a way to get the material and put it where you need it in a safe manner.
Anybody else have any questions? And this depends on whether you wanna put it in the budget. The next one is Bishop Bruin. Again, we did some research on this. We've been using National Industrial Maintenance the last couple of years, and found, I don't know if we found old bills or
My old business card.
however we did, but we've used this company in the past before, and Ethan got bids on doing our sweeping, and you can tell that some people were interested in working with the village by their prices, and some people weren't. This particular one will be coming to the council because, at least one of the sweepings would be done before the end of this fiscal year. We approved, working with National Industrial Maintenance before, but since this is a new company that will save us a lot of money, and we did bidding on this, I want it approved by the council before we would have our first, application in the current budget. The first one would be $1,700, and each additional sweeping would be $1,300. National, was $25.88 for the first, and the second $19, and the third $18. And Curbco, as you can see, was $36.90, $24.60, and $49.20. Not sure what that is all about.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, this will be coming because we want to get that first, sweeping done before we get a lot of the spring rains, and it just fills up the
Can I ask a question? What's the difference between them power sweeping and you sweeping with, the 3/4 ton?
Well, that broom is just it's a giant push broom. It's used for coarse material such as aprons, things like that. It doesn't get down in the curb pan. Your curb pan sits down 1/2 inch or so. The street sweeper actually sucks the debris up. This pushes, you're using it like a plow, which is nice on the dirt roads for your intersections. You fan your material out to the road. Picks it up and it uses water to keep the dust down. That thing's very dusty.
Yeah.
I've used it around the dam. I like to usually try to do it if it's raining out a little bit, but it's very dusty. And we've been going around with the loader and doing it old fashioned like we've done forever and sweep the curbs out, stuff. Matter of fact, Matt's out right now with the loader doing some of that. So we've got some debris picked up down on Ridge Road at the bottom, before Huron Street there, Eagle Road up the hill where we have the curbs. Some on Erie Street, up by the bridge deck by the dam, where you have your abutment walls and you have material there. So we've been getting that, but with the street sweeping, you're going around every curb in the village, every curb mile that we have, and the subs everywhere, so, the subs aren't as bad as, say, like Eagle Road, but nonetheless, it needs needs to be swept, and I mean, you'd be surprised, you can look at a road and not see very much coming off there, but, you know, we have it dumped, we have to have it removed from here, you know, you can get 4 or 5 yards of material.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Where do they dump the,
It'll go to the landfill.
We're working,
it's not hazardous waste?
No, it's special waste. is what they
we're
call
working
it.
with Republic, to have a dumpster brought in, and then they dispose of it.
Yeah,
Why does it have to, why can't you just spread it on one of the dirt roads or something?
it's sand, it's special waste, cause it comes off a road. I mean,
Could have gas, oil in
yeah,
it.
anything, anything
Asbestos
from a
brakes.
building, or anything from a vehicle driving through, so.
It's like the garage out there, the pit, you have to have that sucked out and taken away and
Yeah,
Jackie, is this something that's normally budgeted every year? The street sweeping, do you guys normally budget for that?
Yes, for the last,
4 or
at
5
least
years.
3 to 5 years we have. We used to do it once, and then we did it twice, and now, budgeted
Well, you want it-
3 times.
it's a good idea to do it in the spring, and that's gonna be one of your heaviest, you know, you're coming out of winter with all the debris, and especially, you know, if we have to use chlorinated sand when it gets too cold, you've got some debris like that. You know, that's your heaviest, and then that's why you saw the price goes down for each one, and then we do the spring one, then we do one around before Good Times in Goodrich, so everything's nice and cleaned up, and then I wanted to add a fall time to that because of the leaves. You know, we'll go around and, you know, clean the gutters out where the leaves get in the catch basins and stuff, that's ongoing, but, you know, before the snow flies, you wanna make sure everything's sucked right out so it doesn't get in those storm drains.
Kinda like you can pay to have the streets swept, or you can pay to have somebody come out and clean out our catch basins. Cause our catch basins are gonna take a lot of that sand deposits around, good or two.
And catch basin cleaning is done periodically as needed.
As needed. I have some right now, actually, that we found that we're writing down that need to be backed out, so.
Who we contract that on as well?
In the
Yeah.
past,
National does it.
but we'll ask Bishop if they do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Bishop does it, but National's been doing it for the years past for us.
At a very reasonable price.
Very reasonable. They'll do it by the hour, or by how many structures you have, you know, they estimate how many hours you have into it. So, you know, I usually do about 6 to 10 structures if that's what we need. You know, so I have some right now that we've looked at that have,
Do you guys rent the equipment?
no, they come in with the truck and do it, they have to use a vac truck, a vac and jet truck, and they use all brand new equipment, they work all around the state, the guys are highly trained, and, you know, they have to haul the material out of here, so.
The next thing in your packet, I think, is the perma, is it? Yeah,
Which one?
that.
Permasigns,
That's a technique that Genesee County Road Commission has used, and Atlas Township has used in a couple different locations. They've done it on Walker Road, and they did it at Irish and Van Tyne, and I think they're working up prices for Dutch Road. We've talked to Pete, and Ethan and I have all talked to Shirley about it. She swears by it. I don't think Ethan and the DPW crew are 100% sold on it. It's just a technique that we wanted to bring before you with a couple different ideas on how to make the dirt roads a little bit more enjoyable to drive on.
No such thing.
Is this a better product than the chloride that they put down?
it's
It's a totally different.
a totally different thing, what this is a natural
It
material.
saves you on chloride.
Yeah, it's a natural material, there's enzymes in it, hence the name.
It's made out of molasses.
They apply it to a road, a certain percentage. You know, the road's graded up, it's worked over, you apply it to the road, and what it does is it makes the road hard, and it says it's less resistant to like, frost heaves, where you see that frost coming out, and bubbling out and all that, into potholes, and you can go longer as far as, grading the surface. I looked at Walker Road, I was down there when they were almost done finishing up a few years back, saw the process, a little bit of it. I've driven it lately. I didn't see any frost heaves on it. There is some potholes, I mean, here and there. I mean, all in all, for being in the springtime, the road looked good, as opposed to, Maple Road coming off there. But a lot of work goes into this, there's a lot of gravel that goes into it, that you should put down. Our roads need some gravel, we need to bring our roads up, it's been quite a long time. I would rather, my opinion right now, I'd rather get gravel down on all these roads, throughout the next couple years, have certain areas, say like Dutch and around the school and stuff, cause it's gonna take gravel trains full of gravel out there to bring that road up, it's gonna have to be reshaped. That's just the nature of the beast with these gravel roads, they get worn down, all the material pushes out, pretty much all you're left with is sand and, not much stone, all your fines are going out of it, so. What I'm looking at is, in the next, possibly start something this summer, getting some gravel down on some of these roads, building them back up, getting them back to where they should be in a timely manner there with that. And then once the roads are done, then we can look at something like this, cause they'll already have all the gravel on them, and they'll be up to where we want them to be. Be like new roads. This stuff looks like it works really well, I'm just not sold on it. I know there's a lot of work that goes into it, it's not a matter of just bringing the stuff down and you walk away from it, and it's like a nice new paved road, there's a lot of things that go into it.
I believe Walker was the first one in Genesee County, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, it's held up very well.
but when you do decide to grade it, you have to reapply the stuff to break the bond, which is, that's more time involved there. You have to get a tanker out here to spray the material, and I'm not sure you wouldn't wanna grade it when it's soaked, cause it's gonna be like grading it when it's muddy. So do you break the bond and wait a couple days and then grade it, and, so.
Do we have a grader that would do the work from the beginning?
A grader.
I mean, Shirley says that this was $7,000 a mile. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think Genesee County Road Commission did the grading aspect of it, and the company came and did the spraying. And I don't know if our grader would dig that.
It looks like
Dig a road
their
out.
wear bars on the bottom, but their teeth were a little bit different.
Well, they use scarifiers, yeah. I mean,
But I don't know if
they were running 2 graders out there, because they have,
Does our
6
grader
graders
have the
sitting out there,
guts
but-
to do it? That's what I'm
But the county is
They
the one
don't-
that prepped it for the application.
Yeah,
Oh, of
and
course,
they've
and-
got bigger,
yeah, we can,
bigger pieces of machinery than our grader now. that-
we can, our grader will do what it can, I don't see any problem with it, we'll let you know if it doesn't.
I wanna break a
I
grader
know,
for
it's not gonna get broke, but it's just, it's